Hey, first off, I want to say thank you to everybody that watched that last video I posted a couple of weeks ago titled "The War on Drugs, What Can We Do?" You know, I got some good feedback from that. A lot of people said, man, Eric, you know, that's a great idea. That was that was a good thought. That was a good video, you know, and it did what I thought it was going to do. It provoked some thought, had some people talking about it, kind of went in a circle a little bit, and we back to square one all over again. And, you know, I wanted kind of to follow up to that a little bit and kind of share that the next phase to this, I believe, and this was through talking with another guy about the video, and we talked about how that people need to know that it's possible to change, and it's possible to get clean and live a life without using drugs. It's possible to live a life that's not revolved around criminal activities, drug dealing, gang banging, all that crazy stuff that people live by today. It's possible to live a normal, productive life where you go to work and pay your bills and take care of your family and handle your responsibilities. But being caught up in the moment, in the heat of the action with the drugs and the violence and the gangs and stuff like that, a lot of people don't think like that. A lot of people, it never crosses their mind that it is possible to change. So I believe that the next piece to this war on drugs is letting people know that change is possible and that change can happen. And we need to talk about how change can happen and what can we do to promote change happening. And that's kind of where I wanted to lead a little bit today. Is I want to first acknowledge the fact that in the news, in the media, the center of attention is always focused around the criminal activities, the bad things that are happening with drugs, the bad things that are happening in our communities because of drugs, because of criminal activities. And rarely do we hear talk of anything positive about how to help with the drug war, about how to help with reducing criminal activity. The news is just, well, 3 people were shot today, 2 drug raids, 2 people were, that's all we hear. We don't hear about the people that are changing their lives and that are making a better impact in the community as much as we should. Now, I'm not saying that the news doesn't talk positive stuff from time to time, but what I'm saying is that it is not talked about enough. So what I want to do today is kind of just give you a little brief story of myself to say, and kind of just carry the message that recovery is possible and change does happen, and that anybody can change, anybody can get their life back on track. I just want you to imagine this. Imagine a 22-year-old man, single man, of course, no kids, no family of his own. Imagine this 22-year-old man who doesn't have a job, is homeless, sleeping outside. I want you to imagine this 22-year-old man that's always worried about going to jail because of getting caught using drugs or stealing to get drugs. The families gave up on him. He's been to jail. He's been to treatment. He's failed. He's overdosed. He's almost died. A high school dropout. Can't hold a job. Any job he ever had, he was fired from stealing. From the employer, from the co-workers. Everything he had in his life was negative. He had no friends, no family. Family said, we love you, but you can't come back over here. Now that might sound familiar to some people, but that was my story. You know, I was the man that, you know, the family loved and cared about, but just kind of wrote off because he was just destined to fail. And I felt that about myself, and they kind of felt that about me too. Destined to fail. But it was through hearing a message of hope. It was through hearing people talk about the changes that they went through, how they went from where I was at to where they was at today. Planted a seed in my head that helped me change. That was the beginning of my story. That was the change for me, was hearing how someone else did it. So that's the call to action I want to bring up today, is I want anybody that's made it out of the criminal lifestyle, whether it was through using drugs, gang-related activity, anybody who's made it out the struggle, I would challenge you to share your message with somebody, that can benefit from hearing it. And I know the community that I live in, anybody can benefit from hearing it. So that's why I make it my mission, my goal, my purpose in life to carry this message and try to let people know that change is possible. Now, I shared with you what I was like. Now, I went from homeless, jobless, penniless to having absolutely nothing, not even a sliver of hope to wake up and move forward to the next day. Today, I am a productive member of society. I have a good job that I like going to. I love my coworkers. I love the team that I work for. I have a beautiful wife. I have my first child on the way. I'm a college graduate. I'm working on my 2nd degree. I'm an advocate for change and positivity in the community that I live in the world that we live in. I want everywhere to change. The drug war is everywhere. It's not just in Springfield, Ohio. It's in the United States of America, from state to state, town to town, all the way across the country. So what I want to challenge people to do is start carrying the message more. Start talking about how they changed and how they got out of the life if they change, and try to get this message to people that need to hear it. Now, I know that it's hard to get people to hear it that need to hear it through this type of communication, but it's through this type of communication that we can plant a seed in the right people's minds to get this message to where it needs to be heard. And it needs to be heard in schools, it needs to be heard in jails, it needs to be heard in courtrooms, it needs to be heard on TV. It needs to be heard everywhere that change is possible and that recovery does work. Anybody can go from the life I live to the life I live today. I'm happy. I'm free. I can do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with who I want to do it with. You know, I love family. I love being around my family. I love my wife. I love to take her out and do things. I like to be a part of the community. I like to help people. 6 years ago, that wasn't possible, man. I couldn't help anybody. It was live to use and use to live. I was destined to go to jail, prison, or die using drugs. And that's what I thought in my mind was how I was going to die. I thought I was going to go out using drugs. But the change happened, and it was through someone sharing their experience, strength, and hope with me that planted a seed in me that led me to believe if they could do it, I can do it. And I want everybody to know, if I can do it, you can do it. But we have to help each other. It takes action. It takes more than just good talk and stuff. We have to get this out there and share it and help people and care about people and help them get their lives back on track. So my call to action today is to anyone that's changed their life. I want you to share it with somebody else, whether it's through a post, whether it's through a video, whether it's through a text message, whether it's through sharing with a stranger on the streets. I want you to share with somebody how you've changed your life and how you went from where you were at to where you are at today. And I want that to start a process of change and growth and help in the community to get the world that we live in back on the right track, to help build up the community that we need. This is for our future generations. I don't want my kids to be raised in a town that's driven by drug activity, gangs, the streets. I want my child to grow up in a community that's well-rounded, that respects education, that values community, that values family, that values trust, like our great-grandparents grew up. That's what I want to get back. I want to get back the principles that our great-grandparents lived by that we don't even think about anymore. We're just too caught up in this today's world to reflect on what it was like back then and to reflect on what it's going to be like in the future if we don't change. So what I want everyone to do, man, is just carry the message. Let people know that change is possible, the ones that need to hear it. And if you aren't personally the one that has changed, if you have a family member that's changed, if you have a loved one that has changed, share that too. Share that, man, I had my nephew or my grandson or my cousin or somebody was whatever, and through his process of change, he's changed his life and got back on the right track, and he's doing great today. Because somebody needs to hear that. There are so many hopeless people out there that don't know the way out, don't even know that it's possible. And they need to know that it's possible. Change is real and is live and is happening every day. But we need to get the message out that it works and how it works and what can be done to keep moving forward with our lives. So, done.